What's going on, yo? Brother Doug here. Just got out the theater from seeing Batman vs Superman. Man, so check this out. This is a half non-spoiler and a spoiler review, so it's half and half. Two in one, best of both worlds. Before I get on with the actual review, I just want to say that I've been waiting 4 years for this movie prior to it being announced at Comic Con. Because remember, back in 2012, I said a little something like, bloop, bloop. So this is what they should do. They should just do the Batman Superman crossover movie. They were going to do that back in the '90s with Akiva Goldsman, one of the producers from I Am Legend. He incorporated that in I Am Legend. If you remember when Will Smith was driving down the empty freeway and you could see a billboard with the bat signal with covered in Superman's famous S logo. Yeah. First off, what's going on with the critics? I mean, I know their jobs are to do that, just that, criticize movies and give their critiques and whatnot. But man, they're just hammering in on reviews like they're beating Batman, Superman themselves. Like, come on, it's Batman, Superman versus the critics, Dawn of Justice or Dawn of Criticism. But the thing is, you guys know how I am with the critics. Their opinions are just irrelevant. Just that. Like I tell you guys, you are your own critic. But look at the movies like Avatar, all the Transformers movies, and even Jurassic World. Those got criticized heavily, and they made $1 billion. Anyways, and you know the old saying, people vote by their wallets. After watching many of people's reviews and reading a bunch of reviews, watching on YouTube and reading on articles like New York Times, IGN, EW Magazine, the whole nine, a lot of them really don't. They it's funny because they praise the movie at the same time they criticize it, which I'm gonna do, but nothing major. But my thing was after watching the movie, I think it was more so pacing because this movie is 2.5 hours long, and there were some scenes that they could have dealt without, but I'll get to that in my spoiler half. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid movie, just like Man of Steel. There were some scenes that could have been left on the cutting board, but it was still a presentable movie, in my opinion. A lot of people's opinions differ, and I'm not gonna bash anybody for their opinions. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. I'm not gonna force mine down your throat. Don't force yours down my throat. So, as long as we're all, two sides of a coin, we're good. But if you want to stay on my side, hey, the more the merrier. What was so awesome about the movie was that everybody had a part to play. First, let me start off by saying, man, I've been putting my foot in my mouth a lot this year. Ben Affleck. Remember when I criticized him about being Batman, because his performance on Daredevil? Well, Ben was an awesome Bruce Wayne as well as an awesome Batman. I loved his fight scenes. I loved him acting. He was just so awesome and so smooth with it. Put it like this: Ben Affleck is what Joker was to Heath Ledger and what Iron Man is to Robert Downey Jr. Secondly, Gal Gadot, I found out that's her real name, Gadot. She was awesome as Wonder Woman, Diana Prince. Now, I was skeptical of her too, and I owe her an apology too. Sorry, Miss Gal Gadot. She was an awesome Wonder Woman. Of course, everyone who reprised their role for Man of Steel, like Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams as Lois, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White, Harry Lennox as Senator. His name rolls off the tip of the tongue right now, but yeah, everyone who reprised their roles, of course, they did an awesome job. But I'm really talking about the newcomers, even Jesse Eisenberger, even though he's a newcomer in this one. Oh man, that Lex Luthor boy. The mini question people want to know is, does he go bald? Does he go bald? Well, I mean, come on, y'all. For all those fans who want to know, yes, he goes bald, but that's the only spoiler I'm giving you right now. Other than that, y'all gotta wait to the spoiler half. But Lex Luthor, man, he was crazy. He's so maniacal and so conniving. I loved it. And what I loved about Jeremy Irons' Alfred is that, Alfred was a techie. If you're a big Batman fan, if watch the comics or read the comics or watch the cartoons, and if you're just a big Batman fan, the mythology, that Alfred is a big techie. So it was cool to see him hands on, helping Bruce, fix some of the items, like a maintenance man, and it was just awesome. Like I said, everybody played an important role in this movie. So Chris Terrio, who wrote Argo, which also starred Ben Affleck and directed by Ben Affleck, and he wrote this script for this movie, Batman for Superman, as well as he's doing Justice League. Writing was solid because I could see that he took inspiration. If you're a comic fan, if you read The Dark Knight Returns or watched The Dark Knight Returns, you can see little pieces here and there. Now, as far as this man goes, Zack Snyder. Ooh, I thought he did a great job directing. There were some scenes that had me shook, and had me, jump out my seat just like that. And just all that being said, because I want to get into my spoiler talk now, there's nothing after the credits. Um, The acting is solid. The pacing is a little long, 2 hours and 30 minutes. So deal with that. Other than that, I say go spend your money. Definitely. Is it a competition with Marvel? Well, everything's a competition. It's Hollywood, but is it on the par with Marvel itself? Honestly, mm, DC can do its own thing and Marvel can do its own thing because Marvel doesn't really have a lot of hits itself. A lot of people didn't really like Avengers 2, none of the Thor movies or Iron Man 2 and 3. I didn't like Iron Man 3. But I digress. If you haven't seen the movie, this is your part to exit. If you have seen the movie, keep on hanging on. If you haven't seen the movie but don't care about spoilers, what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Spoilers. So my favorite parts when Batman came to rescue Martha Kent, Superman's mama, from the warehouse. And when Batman saved her, he was like, "I'm a friend of your son." She said, "Yeah, I got that because of the cape." That was funny and clever. Speaking of clever, another good part was at the party in the beginning when Bruce Wayne first gets introduced to Clark Kent. Superman ear hustling on Alfred and Bruce's conversation, about securing data about the metahumans and what LexCorp is up to. I was funny and clever. Superman has that super hearing, and he can take feed on anything. Like, wait, what is that? Bruce Wayne? Is he Batman? So just like some of you fanboys, Batman had an issue. Well, not the same person. Batman, Bruce Wayne, had a problem with Superman and the destruction of Metropolis and the deaths and the killings of Zod and the millions of Metropolitans. However, Batman kills a lot of people in this movie. Well, bad guys. Even in his nightmare dream at the desert, he killed some people, some henchmen. So you're kind of a hypocrite, Batman, if you're complaining about those death tolls. But who am I to judge? You can learn the lessons. Clark definitely learned his lesson. Before the fight with Doomsday elevated to even greater, lengths, he took the fight to space. Like, okay, we ain't repeating this no more. Zod is the reason why the whole destruction happened. He's like, no way, nah, I could prevent this. Let's go to space, and he did. But of course, Doomsday had to come back, and then we get the Trinity. The audience is roaring on that part. Speaking of audiences roaring, the Justice League cameos: Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg. Man, the Flash cameo. I think Ezra Miller can pull it off. Even though I'm pretty sure he has to cut his hair because he looked kind of like a hipster a little bit. Like, oh, come on, that's not Barry Allen. But it was still cool to see him on the surveillance camera take care of the person who's about to rob the liquor store. During Cyborg scene, his cameo. Of course, his dad, Silas Stone, played by Papa Pope. If you watch Scandal, Joe Morton. He was, definitely fixing his son up, recording it. And it's funny why they have him being Cyborg's dad because, Joe Morton played Miles Dyson in Terminator. Terminator has nothing but cyborgs, so it was pretty clever and pretty smart on their part. As for Aquaman, it was just him, throwing his Triton at the camera, in slow motion, but it was still cool to see him. One thing that people wanted to know was, I even heard some people behind me saying, "Where's Green Lantern? Which one is it? Is it gonna be John Stewart, Hal Green, Kyle Rayner?" There was no Justice League, there was no Green Lantern here, but he's supposedly supposed to show up next year in the Justice League. But I'm dying to see who they're gonna cast. Are they gonna do John Stewart? Because Hal Green already had his turn, so I doubt they have two blacks on the same squad, but who I don't know. So Clark dies slash Superman. We all know who's coming back because Justice League. That's why most people didn't take it to heart. No pun intended. We were like, because he's gonna show up next year. Especially the way it ended. They kind of pulled a Magneto. Remember on the end of X3 when Magneto lost his powers, his magnetic powers, and then the chess pieces moved a little bit. It was kind of like that. After the casket was closed and the dirt was thrown, you can see the dirt floating. Superman's alive. Which brings me to my next question. As well as the newspaper when they're reading about Clark Kent, as well as Superman, Superman's dead and Clark Kent's dead. Two separate funerals that were going on at the same time. Uh, will people catch on? Like, hey, wait a minute. If Clark is missing and Superman's missing, does that mean is Clark Superman? And if Clark returns, I'm sure he's going to return to Daily Planet. They're going, wait a minute. If you show up and Superman shows up, But then people are idiots in the DC universe. Like, really? You couldn't tell a dude with glasses is Superman? However, a funny thing off topic real quick. Well, sort of on topic. Henry Cavill last week was, chilling around Times Square, and no one noticed him. I'm like, what? So I guess he didn't need the glasses. So as I said earlier on the non-spoiler part, uh, the flashbacks, some flashbacks we didn't need. Like, if you're a diehard Batman fan, you should already know the origin story of Bruce Wayne. But I guess Zack Snyder wanted to do his origin story. Uh, Thomas and Martha Wayne getting shot at the movie theater after seeing Mask as Zorro. Uh, just the basic Batman origin. Now, the two scenes that had me shook, that had me jump from my seat, were when Bruce went to go visit his mama's grave, her tombstone, whatever, and blood started flowing through the cracks, and then like a little beast came out, like, oh snap! So, what do you guys hope to see accomplished in Justice League? What are some other DC movies that y'all are excited for? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you catch my book, Marshall Taylor, Parks on Wild, and like always, deuces.